They are literally giving you the keys to the castle of developing your own AI model. One part of OpenAI, the developers of ChatGPT, that no one really acknowledges is their API system, and more specifically, their fine-tuning API. So in this video, we're covering 3 things. What the fuck is fine-tuning, why you should fine-tune, and how to fine-tune. Let's get into it. Hey, I sound like a YouTuber. Bruh. So, what the fuck is fine-tuning? Fine-tuning is literally what it sounds like. You are finely tuning an AI model to complete tasks for you. More specifically, you are customizing an AI model to complete tasks in a specific way. An example that I could give is copy.ai. For those who don't know, copy.ai basically just writes copy for you to market products and services. And of course, you could go to ChatGPT to get it to write you the copies for you. But then the reason why copy.ai specializes is because their model is finely tuned towards just copywriting. So what this means is that they have went through a large data set of prompts, which are the input text which the users put to describe the product or service that they're selling. And they have also given the completion, i.e. the output for these inputs. So in other words, they gave an input, which is the prompt, and an output, which is the completion for each of the data in their data set. So why the hell would you fine tune if there's already ChatGPT that could do it for you? So ChatGPT has actually been trained on about 570 megabytes of data on the free internet. And it's so advanced that it can generally understand what the user wants and then can give the corresponding output for the user's input. In machine learning, this concept is known as the few-shot learning. Now, the point of fine-tuning these models given by OpenAI is to make sure that the purpose of your application that you have are a lot more precise and accurate. For example, if we're going to stick to the last example I gave with the copy AI, if you went to ChatGPT to write your copy for a business, it would 100% be able to give you an output. But what ChatGPT gives the output is based off of a large generalized data set. Now, what copy AI would do would most likely give you a more of a higher quality response because the data set that they are reading off of is a lot more precise and fine-tuned towards just literally copy responses. Anyways, another benefit that you get from fine-tuning your model is that you wouldn't have to provide an example in the prompt anymore. So this means that you'll have lower latency requests, which means that you will get a lot faster response from the app. You will get to save money on the tokenization, which is quite expensive and adds up. You will get more accurate and up-to-date completions because from what I know, the OpenAI database is only up until 2021. And in general, just higher quality responses for that niche that your application is in. So now for the bread and butter of the video, how to actually fine tune. And I'm gonna try to make this as simple as possible. When fine tuning, you are literally getting one of OpenAI's base models and then adding novel data to it. Now to keep the video structured and concise, I'll be sticking to 2 parts. The first part is the data set for your fine-tune model, and the second is the actual coding that goes behind the fine-tuning model process. So, part 1, have a good ass data set. To actually have a good data set, it's fairly simple depending on the type of application that you're creating with this fine-tuned model. But if we're going to stick to just a basic premise of what a good data set includes, it'll be firstly ending all the prompts with a specific separator. And an example would be just putting 3 hashes at the end of every single prompt that you include. Now this would make it so that the AI model finds it easier to distinguish when a prompt has reached its end. Now the second thing to do is to make sure that you start every single completion with a white space first. So the reason why we do this is because I think all the other completions have done the same and it makes it more accurate or some shit like that. But anyway, just do it. It makes your fine-tuning process a lot more accurate and effective. And the third and final thing that you do, you can probably guess it, is to add a separator to the completions as well. And this could just be like a white space or just an enter or another 3 hashes. It can be anything you want, but just make sure it's written on the end of all the completions so that the AI model knows when it's the end of the completion. This is a very, very summarized way of explaining how to actually structure a data set. And if you'd like me to actually go through a step-by-step guide on how to structure your data for fine-tuning processes, let me know in the comments below, because then it'll make the video a lot longer, and I just want to use this video to stick to understanding how to actually just fine-tune a model. So now you've got your data set, right? You've got all the prompts and all the completions that you want to include. What I would recommend doing with this is using OpenAI's own tool called the CLI preparation tool, which basically converts the data set that you currently have into a JSON-L format, which is basically just a format that's required for the fine-tuning process to take place. And it would also give you some recommendations and tips on how to improve on the data set. For example, when I done my fine-tuning, it gave me the separators that I used, and it also removed a lot of the duplicates that I had within a data set. And all of these different factors are useful into making your fine-tuning process a lot more accurate. So far we've done two things. We've got the data that we want with the prompts and the completions, and we've inputted the data into the CLI preparation tool. And literally all you're going to be doing is getting this code, inputting the path of the location that the data is in, and then pressing enter. All that's left to do is to get the response that we got from the CLI data preparation tool, which should be a training data file and a validation data file, and then input into a bit of code which then outputs the fine-tuned model. Now, when fine-tuning, you'll need to have one essential piece of data, which is the training file, and of course your API key. Because when I was coding this, I came across a lot of like minor bugs that was quite irritating. I decided to literally just make a GUI so that every single time I do want to fine-tune a model, it's a lot more of a simpler process. I'll put a link to my GitHub repository. Fuck, I can't say that. GitHub repository where you can find this GUI. But anyway, let's just go through it. So a quick run through of how this actually works. You literally just have to get your API key from the OpenAI website, which you can find at this web address. Enter the key into this box here. Upload the training data that you got from the OpenAI CLI prep tool. Upload the validation data set too, and that's optional. Go to customize model, give your model a name, choose which base model you want to use, and then literally just press create. Now you're done. All you have to do is just wait for a bit, depending on the queue size and how large your fine-tuned model is, but you can confirm if it has been created just by clicking here, and then you would see whether or not it's pending or it has succeeded. If you followed every single step that I just showed you now, you should have a fine-tuned model, and if you don't, stop skipping the video and go back and watch it. Nah, but if it's actually not working, that's peak. Just let me know in the comments below if it's working or not for you. Anyways, I hope this was useful for you, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. Oh.